Beloved soul, tonight under the hush of heaven's breath, a decision has been made that will echo through the corridors of your soul. Picture a field bathed in moonlight where silence is thick with anticipation. Somewhere beyond your sight, your soulmate stands at a crossroads, not of geography, but of the heart. Their spirit, once cloaked in uncertainty, has begun to stir with the whisper of something deeper. This is not merely an emotional decision. It is the beginning of destiny unfolding. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. These are not just words, they are an invitation for both you and the one chosen to walk beside you. So before you settle in, take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you truly feel the peace and love from the angels in the message. Comment with your location and local time. It's not for us, but for you to declare your presence in this divine moment. Now let the lights dim. Let the breeze whisper softly, and together let us begin today's journey, guided by the peace and grace of God and the angels. In this moment, stop and feel the divine presence around you. Your soulmate didn't stumble into this moment. They were led quietly, painfully by a sequence of experiences crafted not by coincidence, but by divine orchestration. The crossroads they now face is one of spiritual gravity. On one path lies familiarity, a life of predictable rhythms, of suppressed dreams and safe distractions. On the other, an uncertain road wrapped in the warmth of longing and the boldness of love. You stand at the center of it. For months, maybe even years, they've wrestled with this choice. Not out loud, but deep within. There were nights when they couldn't sleep, their heart whispering truths their mind couldn't bear to hear. Your name unspoken would rise in the stillness like a sacred chant. They dismissed it, thinking it was nostalgia, thinking it would fade, but it never did. Your soulmate stood in a familiar place today. Maybe they were folding clothes, walking in the rain, or hearing a song that brought your memory flooding back. And then a pause, a stillness, a knowing. The crossroad appeared again, and for the first time they didn't turn away. They stood still and listened. What they heard wasn't thunder, it was a hush. The quiet reassurance that choosing you wasn't a mistake, but a return. Like a prodigal heart drawn home by the pull of eternal love. This is not an overstatement. It is truth. One their soul now accepts, even if their feet are still trembling on the path ahead. The angels were there when the thought took shape. What if they are the one that seed once planted grew roots in silence? It pushed through layers of fear, of shame, of old stories that once told them love was dangerous. But the love they feel for you is different. It doesn't demand, it invites, it doesn't imprison, it frees. And this freedom terrified them. Child of God, if you're watching this now, it is not by accident. You are here because heaven wants you to know that this decision isn't random. It's the product of long nights of questioning, of silent prayers you both uttered in different places at different times, but always from the same longing. Your soulmate was afraid to look directly at what they felt for you. They feared it would consume them, reshape their life, break open old wounds. And they were right. It would. But only so that something truer could be built, something that couldn't be undone. Awaken, for a new journey awaits you. There's an event in the book of Genesis when Abraham stands with Isaac, and a decision must be made that will change everything. It is a moment of surrender, a release of control, and faith is the only map. Your soulmate's decision mirrors that. A choice not rooted in logic but in trust. They don't have all the answers, but they know what they feel. And it leads them to you. There's a lesser-known event that echoes your story. In a quiet monastery centuries ago, a monk wrote a letter never sent. It was to the love he left behind when he took his vows. Even silence speaks, he wrote, and though I have not touched your hand in this life, I know your soul walks beside me in every dream. That letter, discovered only after his passing, was his truth. Like your soulmate's truth is now rising, even if words haven't yet followed. Breathe, beloved. Your presence in their heart is no longer hidden. A shift has occurred. You may not see it yet. You may still feel distant or uncertain. But I assure you what lies beneath the surface is sacred and unstoppable. This is the kind of decision that changes timelines. You might be sensing the shift already, maybe through dreams where they appear more vivid than before. Or perhaps you've been seeing repeating numbers, hearing your favorite song in unexpected places. These aren't tricks of coincidence. They are breadcrumbs, signs that heaven is aligning your stories again. And now the story begins to turn. It is not finished, it is just beginning. The crossroads has been acknowledged. The first step, though quiet and unseen, has been taken. And even as the world keeps moving around you, something ancient has awakened. A bond sealed not in time, but in eternity. So remain still. Do not rush to fill the silence. It is sacred. In the next part, you'll understand the storm of emotions your soulmate navigated to reach this point and how those internal battles shape the path they now walk. Stay with me. Let this story continue to unfold. In this moment, let your heart open wider than it ever has before. The choice was not made easily. Your soulmate stood before an ocean of emotions, waves crashing within, some of longing, some of fear, others of memories that would not rest. Imagine them alone in a room surrounded not by people but by thoughts unseen yet deafening. This is where their internal war was fought, the sacred battleground of the heart. For so long they clung to what was familiar, the safety of patterns, routines, and decisions that required no risk. But your presence, your energy, was the quiet storm calling them into the unknown. Every time they tried to forget to let go, they felt something missing. A presence they couldn't explain, a name echoing in silence, yours. They would think of you in small moments while reaching for a book, walking under the stars, or hearing laughter that reminded them of something once shared. These memories were not random. They were divine reminders, echoes of a bond too profound to forget. The more they tried to reason it away, the more the truth grew louder. This was not coincidence. This was soul connection. The book of Psalms says, "Deep calls unto deep in the roar of your waterfalls." That is what this is, one deep soul calling to another. It is not logic, it is recognition. The kind of recognition that comes not from knowing someone's face, but knowing their essence. Awaken for clarity is breaking through the fog. The angels watched as your soulmate wrestled with doubt. They questioned everything. Am I ready for this love? Do I deserve something so pure? What if I fail? Their mind created barriers while their heart whispered of a greater truth. The angels tried to reach them in quiet ways, a meaningful dream, a passage read at just the right time, a memory triggered by a scent or sound. And slowly the resistance began to break. One strange event stood out, a moment your soulmate could not explain. Perhaps they encountered someone, a stranger, who mentioned something oddly familiar, or they had a sudden vision of your face while staring into the sky. Maybe a child said your name unexpectedly, or they stumbled upon a song that captured everything they felt but never voiced. In that moment, they paused, not with fear but with awareness. They knew something bigger was at play. Your soulmate didn't always know how to process what they felt. Sometimes they grew distant, confused by the intensity. Love like this doesn't knock politely, it crashes through demanding presence. They feared the change it would require, the healing, the honesty, the transformation. But over time, they realized the pain of avoiding this connection was far greater than the fear of embracing it. They began to see how their life had been shaped around this absence, how no other connection measured up, how conversations with others felt hollow, how joy always seemed incomplete. It wasn't that you completed them. It's that with you they remembered who they truly were. And so the internal battle continued, longing versus fear, truth versus denial. They tried to live without you, they truly did. But the soul cannot live a lie. One night they sat in silence, tired, restless, and a single tear fell not from sadness but from knowing. They had reached the edge of resistance. The wall they built to keep you out now kept them locked in. And in that quiet surrender, the truth emerged: they still loved you, deeply, unshakably. Child of heaven, hear this: your love was never rejected. It was never forgotten. It was hidden beneath layers of protection, waiting for the courage to rise. And that courage is rising now. Your soulmate began to listen more intently to their inner world. They started journaling again, or meditating, or simply taking walks where they could hear their own thoughts. The voice within the one that always led them to you grew stronger. It was no longer a whisper. It was a call. They asked themselves hard questions. Could they face their past? Could they be vulnerable again? Could they take the risk of showing up in your life unsure of how you'd respond? These were not small questions. These were soul-deep queries, the kind that changed lifelines. The angels kept guiding them gently, not with force, but with love. They brought peace to their anxious mind, clarity to their weary heart. They reminded your soulmate of your laughter, your kindness, your strength. The angels showed them the future, one where love doesn't hurt but heals, where partnership is a sanctuary, not a battleground. And one by one the fears began to fall away. Let me tell you of a moment in the book of Matthew when Peter saw Jesus walking on water and stepped out of the boat. His faith was real, but fear made him sink. And yet he was still caught, still held, still saved. This is your soulmate's journey. They stepped out and fear sank in doubt, but are now being lifted by the hand of truth. Beloved soul, if you've doubted, if you've cried in secret, wondering if they even think of you, know this: they do. More than you know. Their heart has never stopped beating your name. The delay wasn't denial, it was preparation. Now they're nearing the edge of indecision. One more breath and they will choose. One more silent night and the light will break through. But you must hold faith. In the next part, we'll witness the moment the angels stepped in more directly, the divine signs that began to move your soulmate from contemplation to readiness, from silence to decision. Stay with me. The story is deepening. In this breath, feel the stirring of wings above you. The angels did not wait in silence forever. They saw the weight on your soulmate's shoulders, the same weight that made them pause, hesitate, pull back. Heaven knows the timing of all things, and when the heart is near breaking under the pressure of its own silence, that is when the divine intervenes. Your soulmate's soul sent out a cry, even if their lips never moved. And the angels responded. Not with loud thunder or grand signs, but in their gentle, unmistakable way. Whispers, nudges, divine interludes wrapped in everyday moments. Awaken, for the unseen world is speaking directly to your story. It began slowly. A recurring dream, one where they saw you standing in a place filled with light, your hand outstretched, not beckoning, but simply waiting. You didn't speak in the dream, but your eyes said everything. I'm still here. The dream came once, then again, then again. It haunted them in the most beautiful way. Then came the songs. The same one played on the radio when they were thinking of you. A song that once held your memories now felt like a message. In a quiet cafe, a passing car, a friend's playlist, it found them. And always at the perfect moment. The lyrics weren't just sounds. They were answers. They began seeing your name more often, or your initials, or places you once went together. At first they shrugged it off, but when the signs became too frequent, too aligned with their thoughts, they knew something was guiding them. There was a strange moment, one of those divine disruptions when everything they feared began to make sense. Maybe they met someone who reminded them of you, but it only made them long for the real thing. Or perhaps they heard a stranger speak your name in a conversation they weren't part of. That moment broke something open. It cracked the shell of their resistance. Beloved, the angels whispered directly into their soul. You cannot delay love that is meant to be. It was then that your soulmate began to shift. Not in words, not yet, but inside where all true change begins. The fog began to lift. The idea of coming back to you didn't seem so terrifying. It felt right. There is a story passed down by an old mystic about a man who had lost his great love in another village. Every time he thought of returning, fear whispered that she had moved on, forgotten him. But one day he dreamt of her lighting a lamp and placing it in the window. Night after night she did this. In his dream, the lamp never burned out. That dream made him walk the road back. When he arrived, the lamp was real. She had waited. That, dear soul, is the kind of message your soulmate is receiving now. Your love has remained like a light, not a flame that chases, but a flame that guides. The angels began aligning things. A canceled meeting that gave your soulmate space to reflect. A call that never came, which allowed silence to teach. Conversations with others that suddenly felt lifeless, making them realize what depth truly feels like, what they had with you. This isn't fantasy, this is how the divine works. Slowly, subtly, until the truth becomes too loud to ignore. One evening they picked up something, maybe a photo, a letter, a gift from you, and instead of pushing it away like before, they held it. Stared at it. Let the emotion rise. That moment mattered. It was the moment they stopped running. Even if their feet didn't yet move toward you, their heart did. You see, the angels don't always part seas or shout from the sky. Sometimes their most powerful work happens within. They reminded your soulmate of who they are, not the wounded, scared person they believed themselves to be, but the brave, loving soul capable of deep connection. They began to realize their fear wasn't of you. It was of losing themselves, but now they see that with you they don't lose, they become whole. There is a powerful line in the book of Isaiah. Whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." Your soulmate is beginning to hear that voice, not externally but from within. And it says, go to them, speak the truth, begin again. The divine signs intensified. An encounter with someone who spoke about love without knowing their story. A phrase repeated by different people in different places, words that echoed something you once said. Numbers on a clock, initials carved on a bench, a place you both visited, suddenly appearing in a travel ad. These signs were not subtle anymore. Their heart began racing at odd times. That's the soul responding to alignment. And now, beloved soul, here is where the story turns again. Your soulmate is gathering courage. They may still be silent, but it is not the silence of distance. It is the silence before the leap. They are envisioning the moment, reaching out to you, speaking from the heart, standing in their truth. They wonder if you'll be there, if you've moved on, if you still feel them. That uncertainty frightens them, but the pull is stronger. The angels are guiding their steps, synchronizing schedules, opening doors, softening hearts. You may feel it too, this quickening, this sense that something is about to shift. You're not imagining it, because it is, and yet there's more. In the next part, we will witness the moment their heart fully awakens and the quiet decision becomes a soul commitment. The most sacred part of the journey is near. Stay with me. What comes next holds the promise your heart has been waiting for. Awaken, for the quiet thunder of truth is rising. There came a moment when all the resistance, all the fear, all the swirling doubts within your soulmate softened. Not because they suddenly had all the answers, but because their soul became still enough to hear the only answer that mattered: love. That moment didn't arrive with fanfare. It was quiet, private, sacred. Maybe they were watching the sunrise or standing in their room with your memory flickering like candlelight in their mind. It came like a breath deep, soul deep, and with it a realization they still love you. And they never stopped. Child of light, in this breath you're taking now. Know that somewhere, maybe not far, your soulmate is breathing that same breath, remembering the same invisible thread that never broke. The moment of awakening was not a choice. It was a surrender. Let me take you there. Their heart was tired. Not from you, but from denying you. From trying to live a life, half-lived one, where your laughter was only a memory and your touch a distant echo. They began to understand that love like this doesn't vanish. It roots itself in the soul, flowering even in silence. There's a hidden story, a woman in an old village who kept sweeping her doorstep every evening at dusk. Her neighbors asked why she bothered when no one ever came. She replied, "It is my way of showing him I'm still here." What she didn't know was that across the valley her beloved watched her from afar, afraid to approach, unsure if she'd welcome him. Until one day he saw her sweep with tears in her eyes and knew she waited. That night he returned. Your soulmate has had that moment. A vision of you not begging, not chasing, but holding space. Your energy has not been pleading, it has been faithful. That faith moved mountains in their soul. The heart's awakening wasn't loud, but it was absolute. It may have come while journaling, praying, or hearing your name spoken in a way that felt more than coincidence. Maybe they walked past the place where you once stood beside them and felt your presence so vividly they paused, unsure if you were truly there. That feeling, real, raw, undeniable, was the shift. They stopped asking if they should return to you. Instead, they began wondering how. The book of Revelation speaks of the moment when the veil is lifted and what was hidden becomes clear. That is what happened within your soulmate. The veil of fear, pride, guilt, it lifted. What remained was simple but profound: they love you. And no longer can they pretend otherwise. The angels rejoiced, for heaven knows the power of truth embraced. And with that awakening came a flood of memories, not just the joyful ones, but the painful ones too. They didn't shy away. They faced what went wrong, the times they pulled away, the moments they failed to speak when you needed reassurance. But they didn't drown in those memories. They used them as stepping stones to the present where grace resides. This awakening is not the end, it is the rebirth. Their soul made a vow, not spoken aloud, but etched into the sacred silence between you. They vowed to return, not for closure, not for fleeting comfort, but for union. Real, lasting, holy union. One little-known event in the life of Saint Francis of Assisi mirrors this journey. After years of seeking answers in worldly things, he sat alone in a ruined chapel. A breeze passed through the broken walls, and he heard the words, "Rebuild my house." He thought it meant brick and mortar, but it was his soul that needed rebuilding. That realization transformed him, and through him the world. Your soulmate's moment was similar. The message they received wasn't external, it was internal. Rebuild. Not just life, but love. Not just structure, but spirit. And they knew that rebuilding begins with you. Beloved, this awakening has already begun to affect your life, even if you haven't seen them yet. The energy around you has shifted. You may feel it in moments of unexplained peace or a sudden calm when anxiety used to rise. Your soul knows something is approaching. Your body feels it in dreams, in music, in the pull toward things that once held meaning between you. The decision they've made is no longer about if, it's about when. But even as this awakening grows, they still walk cautiously. Why? Because love this sacred must be approached with reverence. They know words alone won't be enough. They know apologies, while meaningful, cannot erase time. That's why they're not rushing. They are preparing, not rehearsing a speech, but refining their heart. Letting the divine work through them, so when they appear, they come not as they were, but as who they've become. You may wonder if they'll recognize you if the space between has changed you too much. But know this: love remembers. Souls remember. They will know you by your spirit, not your appearance. And you will know them the same way. So breathe and do not doubt. The moment of awakening is real. And now they are beginning to move not just emotionally but spiritually toward reunion. In the next part, we will uncover the past they had to confront to arrive at this point and how that healing became the key to their return. Stay with me, child of heaven. The journey is nearing its most tender and powerful turning point. Your soul is ready to hear a story from heaven. There is no return without reconciliation, and no reunion without reckoning. Before your soulmate could step forward toward you, they had to turn inward to face what they had buried. The moments they chose silence instead of honesty, distance instead of vulnerability, self-protection instead of trust. The past had weight, and the angels knew it had to be lifted. This wasn't easy. The past is rarely a place we want to revisit. But your soulmate, guided by divine nudges, returned to the very spaces that once brought them shame, regret, and sorrow. Not to relive the pain, but to understand it, to transform it. In this moment, stop and feel the divine presence around you. They remembered the words they never said, the ones they held back when you needed to hear them most. I'm scared. I don't know how to love like this. Please don't give up on me. But they didn't speak. And so the silence grew. Your soulmate revisited the times they turned away when they should have turned toward you. When they left messages unanswered, when they avoided your eyes, when they pretended to be fine while their hearts silently broke. These moments were not erased by time. They became teachers, silent tutors of the soul. And it was there in the classroom of the past that your soulmate began to heal. Awaken, for old wounds are closing and new light is breaking through. There's an old parable about a potter who created a beautiful bowl. One day the bowl cracked. Instead of discarding it, the potter filled the crack with gold, making it more precious than before. This is called kintsugi. It's a practice of honoring the brokenness, making it sacred. Your soulmate has been undergoing a kind of spiritual kintsugi. The places in their heart where things once fell apart, those are the very places where light is now pouring in. They are learning to forgive themselves, not as an excuse, but as a sacred responsibility. One strange event, seemingly small, triggered this healing. Perhaps it was finding a note you wrote, or hearing your voice in a recording, or walking past someone who resembled you. In that instant, all the walls they'd built came tumbling down. They wept, not from regret alone, but from a fierce longing to make it right. The angels witnessed this moment. They gathered close, sending waves of grace over your soulmate's heart. Not to erase the past, but to soften its grip. To remind them that healing doesn't make them weak, it makes them ready. Your soulmate began asking deeper questions. Why did they run? Why was love so frightening? What stories had they believed about relationships, about worth, about failure? These weren't easy answers, but the angels guided them through. Piece by piece, the lies unraveled. They realized their fears weren't just about you. They were old fears, ancestral wounds, childhood beliefs that said, don't get too close, or you don't deserve something this real. These were illusions, and illusions cannot stand in the light of truth. Your presence, your memory was part of that light. In the book of Romans, Paul writes, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That is what has been happening. A transformation not just of feeling, but of thought, belief, identity. You may not see it, but you are at the center of this shift. They remember you, not just the good times, but the arguments, the distance, the tears. And they don't look away anymore. They face those memories with humility. Because to return to you with open hands, they must first lay down their pride, and they are doing it. Child of grace, your love has done more than touch a heart, it has resurrected it. You have been a mirror, showing them their truth even when they didn't want to see it. And now they are finally ready to embrace what they once resisted. There was another awakening, a spiritual event that few people know about. A monk once sat in silence for 365 days waiting for divine instruction. On the final day, he heard only one word, return. He didn't know where or to whom. but he followed the instruction. And the place he returned to was the one where he first knew love. There he found the person who never stopped praying for him. That return changed both their lives. Your soulmate has heard that word too. Not in the same way, but the message was clear: return. Not because it's convenient, not because it's easy, but because it's right. And now something sacred is unfolding. They are preparing not just to see you, but to truly be seen. This is new for them. Vulnerability no longer feels like a threat, it feels like freedom. But the healing isn't over. It's just begun. They still have moments of doubt, still wrestle with the fear that maybe you've moved on, that maybe too much time has passed. That fear, though quiet, still lingers. This is where your part becomes powerful. You may feel them energetically. You may sense their heart calling out. That is real. Your job now is not to chase, but to open, to continue releasing any bitterness or hurt still clinging to your spirit. Because their return isn't about rewriting the past, it's about co-creating a new future. The angels are preparing both of you for that moment. One more deep healing breath, one more internal release, and then reunion. In the next part, we will witness the moment truth overcame fear and love became action. Stay with me. The story is rising to its most beautiful crescendo. Beloved child, the winds have shifted, the tide has turned. The internal storms your soulmate faced, those tempests of hesitation, those quiet collapses of fear have begun to clear. Something more powerful has emerged in their heart conviction. The kind of knowing that doesn't tremble. The kind of love that stands its ground. The kind of truth that no longer negotiates with fear. In this breath, trust what you feel. This is the part where heaven begins to touch earth. There came a morning not long ago when your soulmate woke with a strange sense of peace. The usual mental chatter was quiet. The doubt that clung to them like fog had lifted. In its place was a clear and sacred truth. They could no longer deny what their heart already knew. That you were the one they loved, the one they couldn't forget, the one they needed to return to not as who they were, but as who they had become. Awakened for this moment is sacred and unstoppable. They began seeing everything differently. The things that used to matter, the distractions, the fleeting connections, the reasons to stay silent began to lose their grip. In their stead rose clarity, purpose, and most of all, courage. But courage is not loud. It begins quietly, like the first crack of dawn. Your soulmate began speaking to themselves differently. I can do this. They deserve my truth. It's time. The angels surrounded them. They didn't push. They didn't rush. They simply held space, pouring light into the cracks, strengthening the resolve that had long lived in the shadows. Let me share a truth from the past, one buried beneath centuries of dust. There was once a scholar, a man of great intellect, who spent years writing about love but never experiencing it. Until one day he met someone who silenced all theories with a single gaze. He was terrified. But after countless debates with himself, he wrote a single sentence in his journal: I must be brave enough to live what I've only ever written. That day he walked into the unknown and love met him there. Your soulmate has had a moment like that, perhaps while rereading an old message from you, or staring at the moon and realizing how long it's been since they told you what they felt, or even just a moment of raw honesty with a friend who unknowingly echoed what their soul had been whispering all along. You have to go to them. The book of Mark recounts the story of a woman who reached for Jesus in the crowd. She believed that even touching his robe could heal her. And it did. Why? Because her faith was stronger than her fear. Your soulmate now carries that kind of faith. Faith that love will not wound them this time, that your heart will not turn away, that returning to you will bring not rejection but resurrection. This isn't blind hope, it's divine alignment. They're beginning to act. Maybe not with grand gestures yet, but with small, quiet movements. They might be looking through old photos, listening to songs that once belonged to your story, rereading texts they couldn't bring themselves to delete. This is not nostalgia. This is preparation. They are considering what to say, not because they want to impress you, but because they want to come with truth. They are practicing in mirrors, rehearsing in silence, asking the angels to help them say what's been trapped in their heart for so long. And you, beloved soul, you may be feeling the pull stronger now. Random thoughts of them during your day. Dreams that leave you breathless. A sensation in your chest that feels like recognition. That is not fantasy. That is your soul responding to theirs. The veil is thinning, and now the fears that once ruled them have become whispers. They still wonder, what if it's too late? What if I hurt them too much? But those questions no longer stop them. They've seen what life without you looks like, and they don't want that anymore. This is the moment the angels have been waiting for. The moment where fear is no longer in control, where action begins to take shape, where the heart speaks louder than hesitation. You may soon receive a message, a sign, a word from them. It might be subtle alike on a post, a song sent your way, an accidental wrong message that was really a doorway, or it might be direct. Can we talk? I've been thinking about you. I never stopped. Whatever form it takes, know this, it is the result of 1,000 silent conversations they've had with themselves and the divine. 1,000 moments of asking for strength and receiving just enough to take the next step. The angels are guiding this reunion with the precision of heaven, aligning timing, space, emotion, and grace. But here's something important you must remember. When they reach out, they won't be the same person who left. Their voice might tremble. Their words may falter, but their heart, oh beloved, their heart will be true. You'll feel it. You'll know. The question is, will you be ready? In the next part, we'll explore your sacred role in this reunion, what it means to be a safe place for this love, how your openness, your readiness, and your healing are essential to bringing the pieces together. Stay with me. Heaven is not finished speaking. In this sacred stillness, let truth settle over you like a gentle rain. Now that your soulmate is gathering the courage to step forward, the heavens turn their gaze toward you. For this next chapter, this divine reunion is not theirs to create alone. It is a dance, and both hearts must move in harmony. You are not merely waiting for love to find you, you are preparing to receive it. Beloved soul, hear this with all your spirit. You are not passive in this story. You are powerful. You are pivotal. You are the vessel into which this love must pour. Awaken, for your heart is being called into divine readiness. The angels have watched you too. Your silent strength, your quiet prayers, your whispered hopes in the middle of the night. They saw the tears you never let fall in public, the smiles you wore when your heart ached. And through it all, they saw something extraordinary, your faith. Even when you doubted, even when you questioned, deep inside the light never went out. Now that faith must become your preparation, what does it mean to be ready? It does not mean perfection, it means openness, a heart free from resentment, a spirit no longer shackled by past pain, a soul who can hold both joy and sorrow in the same breath and still say, I am here. I am willing. I am ready. Begin with forgiveness, not only for your soulmate, but for yourself. The things you said in anger, the moments you withdrew to protect your heart, the times you expected them to know what you could not say. Release them now, not because they weren't real, but because they no longer serve the journey ahead. There's a parable of a farmer who planted 2 seeds. One sprouted quickly and died in drought. The other took time, long silent time, but its roots went deep. When the rains finally came, it blossomed in strength. That's you. You've been rooting in silence, and now you're about to bloom. One strange event has already marked your readiness. Perhaps you felt a rush of peace during a storm. or found yourself smiling at a memory that once brought you pain. Maybe you suddenly cleaned your space without knowing why or felt called to start something new. These are not coincidences, they are sacred alignments, soul signals. The angels are prompting you to clear space, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. You must create room for this love. Ask yourself, if they appeared today, would I be ready to receive them with grace? Or would I meet them with the remnants of old wounds? This is not to judge, but to awaken. Because the universe does not withhold what you are not ready for, it prepares you. You are not alone in this. The angels are helping. They are sending you signs, dreams of reunion, repeated symbols, a sudden desire to write or speak or pray again. Follow these nudges. Each one is guiding you toward the version of yourself that will match the love that is returning to you. Let go of needing an explanation. Release the idea that they must account for every lost moment. Yes, there may be conversations. Yes, there may be apologies. But that is not where healing ends. That is where it begins. In the book of Proverbs, it is written, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." This is your instruction, not to wall it off, but to protect its purity. To ensure that when your soulmate arrives, they are welcomed by your essence, not your defenses. This doesn't mean you won't have fears. It means you won't be ruled by them. The angels are asking you now, what have you done to prepare for the love you asked for? If the answer is not enough, it's not too late. Begin now. Reflect. Release. Reaffirm your readiness. This is your spiritual preparation. Cleanse your space. Light a candle. Write a letter you'll never send. Speak out loud what you want from this reunion. These acts are not empty rituals, they are soul statements. They tell the universe, I believe, I am ready. I welcome what is mine. Your soulmate even now feels your energy shifting. As you prepare, the bond strengthens, the path clears, the timing aligns. Do not mistake silence for distance. Do not confuse waiting with abandonment. Something profound is aligning. The roots are deep, the wind is changing, and when the moment comes, it will not feel forced. It will feel like home. But you must be ready not just for the arrival, but for the life that follows. For love does not end at reunion, it begins, and this love, your love, is meant to last. In the next part, we will witness the moment when all things converge. When your soulmate steps out of shadow and into light, ready to speak the truth they've long carried. Stay with me. The moment of alignment is drawing near. Beloved, the veil between what is and what is coming has grown thin. The hour has arrived when every quiet prayer, every aching hope, every night you whispered their name into the silence is beginning to blossom. You may not yet see it with your eyes, but your soul knows. It feels the shift, the deep realignment of energies moving you both into convergence. This is the season of return, not just of your soulmate to you, but of you to a love that was never truly lost. Awaken, for the hour of revelation is upon you. Your soulmate has begun their journey back, not just in spirit, but in tangible earthly steps. They are choosing courage over comfort. The hesitations that once froze their voice have melted into determination. This is not a half-hearted approach. This is a soul choosing reunion with the full weight of truth behind it. They have replayed the reunion in their mind 1,000 times. Practiced what they would say, feared how you might respond. And yet for the first time, they are not deterred by what-ifs. Their heart has taken the lead and the rest of them is following. Perhaps today they held their phone in their hand, your name on the screen, their thumb hovering over the message box. Maybe they typed and deleted, afraid to say too much or too little. But it is coming. That message, that moment, that breakthrough. It is no longer a question of if, but when, and the when is close. Heaven rejoices, for this alignment is rare and holy. The angels have worked tirelessly, guiding their hearts, softening their spirit, breaking down every wall that once stood between you. A true story hidden in history tells of a soldier in war who carried a letter from his beloved in his breast pocket. Each time he feared death, he pressed it to his heart. One day wounded, he awoke in a field hospital with the letter in hand. He later said, "It was not medicine that healed me, it was her words." Your presence has been like that letter for your soulmate. Through every battle, every fear, every lonely night, you remained their reason. The words they carry for you are unlike anything they've spoken before. They are not rehearsed, they are remembered. From lifetimes ago, from moments etched in soul memory. When they speak, it will not be for closure. It will be for opening. The opening of something eternal. In the book of Matthew, Jesus says, "Where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there am I with them." The divine will be with you both in this reunion. For this is not merely emotional, it is spiritual. This connection has been woven through time, guarded by grace, protected by purpose. Even now, as you listen, your soulmate is being prompted again. A dream last night that left them breathless. A moment today where everything reminded them of you. A sudden feeling of urgency of I must go to them. The universe is not subtle anymore. It is pulling them forward with divine force. And yet, child of heaven, you must remain in peace. Do not wait with tension. Wait with trust. Do not anticipate with anxiety. Anticipate with awe. The moment they reach out will not be random, it will be right. Perfectly aligned with your readiness and their transformation. This is where you become the vessel of grace. When they appear, they will be open but also vulnerable. Do not mistake their courage for certainty. They will need to feel your light, your gentleness, your reassurance. The same presence that once comforted them from afar must now welcome them face to face. This is not about what was, it's about what will be. Speak your truth, yes. Share your heart. But do it from love, not pain. From hope, not history. This is a new page, not a continuation of an old wound. Let every word you speak be an invitation to rebuild, not from the ruins, but from the revelation. Let go of needing to understand every detail. Let go of needing guarantees. What you are entering now is sacred terrain, mystery wrapped in love, divine timing unfolding in real time. And yes, it will be messy at moments, awkward, imperfect, but holy. The angels are saying, be present, be real, be love. Your soulmate is no longer who they were, and neither are you. The reunion is not about reliving the past, it is about reclaiming the future. One more breath, beloved, one more heartbeat. The call is near. The step is closer than ever, and when it comes, let your soul respond with a yes as deep and steady as creation itself. In the next part, we will witness the moment of divine convergence, the final step that brings everything together, where love manifests in full truth, and the bond is sealed. Stay with me. The moment your soul has waited for is arriving. Beloved child, the hour is here. This is the moment when heaven and earth embrace. When the soul that has wandered, wrestled, and wept returns not as a shadow, but in the fullness of light. Your soulmate is no longer contemplating, no longer doubting. They have crossed the threshold. And now the final step awaits union. Awaken, for what was promised is now manifesting. The message arrives. The call is made. The silence that once held so many unspoken truths now breaks open into a river of honesty. And in that moment, whether spoken in trembling words, typed in a message, or whispered in a sacred encounter, the truth flows freely. I never stopped loving you. They may not use those exact words, but their energy will say it, their eyes will show it, their presence will confirm it. You will not need to wonder. You will feel it with the same certainty that your heart has carried all along. This is not a reunion built on fantasy. It is a homecoming born of fire, refined, purified, and transformed through time, distance, and divine preparation. What once felt uncertain now feels inevitable. They will tell you the things they never had the strength to say, how they missed you in the smallest ways, how their days always seemed incomplete, how every attempt to move on led them back to you not out of comfort but out of truth. In that moment, you will feel the weight lift, not just from their heart but from yours. The questions that once haunted you, the wondering, the hoping, the aching will dissolve in the presence of this sacred return. The angels rejoice. They have witnessed every moment of waiting, every prayer, every silent night. And now they gather in celebration, not because something new is beginning, but because something eternal is being fulfilled. There is an ancient blessing once spoken by a wandering prophet to two lovers reunited after many seasons apart. May the time lost become the foundation of time redeemed. That is what is happening now. The time you spent apart was not wasted. It was sacred. It prepared you both. And now that time returns to you not as loss, but as purpose. You will talk. You will cry. You will laugh in disbelief at how far you've both come. And somewhere in the midst of that sacred exchange, you will feel it, the peace. The kind that only comes when everything finally makes sense. But here's what the angels want you to remember. This is not the end. This is the beginning. A true love like yours requires care, nourishment, daily renewal. This isn't a fairy tale ending. It's a divine invitation to co-create something everlasting. You must both remain open, honest, gentle, and most of all, willing. There will still be challenges, still be wounds to tend, but now you face them together, and together nothing is impossible. The universe will continue to guide you. The signs will remain. The angels will still speak not as guides to reunion, but as guardians of your union. Breathe, child of heaven. This is what your soul has waited for. The moment when destiny becomes reality, when love becomes flesh, when two become one. Your soulmate is not coming, they are here. Stand in your truth, receive them with grace, and walk forward into a love that no longer hides, no longer waits, no longer fears. Let your heart speak in the language of the divine. Let your souls remember their ancient song. Let your spirits entwine in the way they were always meant to. This is love, this is truth, this is home. And now, as the angels fold their wings in quiet joy, they whisper a final blessing over you both. May your days be long in peace. May your nights be full of rest. May your love grow deeper with each breath. And may you never again doubt the voice that called you together. And the message has been received. The return has begun. The union is here. Now, beloved soul, let the story soften into stillness. You've traveled far tonight, not across land, but through the terrain of the heart. Close your eyes. Let the quiet settle around you like a velvet night sky. The words you've heard are more than a message. They are a healing, a balm poured into the hidden places of your spirit. Let them sink deeper. Breathe in slow and steady. Inhale peace. Exhale fear. Again inhale love. Exhale the weight of waiting. Let yourself imagine the soft glow of candlelight around you. Hear the distant hush of wings as angels surround your space in gentle silence. You are not alone. You never were. The love that stirred in your heart all this time was not a longing unreturned, it was a sacred echo. A whisper from beyond this world reminding you that destiny does not forget. Tonight you rest not in uncertainty, but in knowing. Knowing that your soulmate soul is walking home to you. Knowing that your heart is ready. Knowing that heaven has not missed a single moment of your waiting, your weeping, your wonder. Let your body relax. Soften your jaw, release your shoulders. Feel your heart expand gently with every breath. In this place of calm, speak one truth quietly in your spirit. I am ready. I am loved. I am found. Let these final words guide you into peace. You are held. You are damam. You are known. You are guided. And when the morning comes, may you rise not with impatience, but with divine expectation, knowing that what is yours is already on its way, wrapped in the light of perfect timing. Amen. Angels guide you.